Hello guys, welcome back to this front-end web development crash course. In this video we will complete the layout we are building in the last video. We'll complete that layout and I'll introduce you to the flex box, the CSS flex, which is very important for achieving complex layouts. So let's just start it. So this is where we have ended in the last video. Now if I show you, like if I go right click and go inspect, and you click on this select an element, this icon. Once you click, you'll see as you hover over the layout, it is actually showing some boxes. So when I hover over this heading tag, it is showing me one blue and two brown boxes above and below it. And this blue area is actually the content area where our content is actually which is we build trust in this case. And what is this top and bottom brown? This is actually showing us the default margin that h1 comes with. So if I now go to my source code and in my h1 tag, if I say margin bottom 0, if I now go refresh, and we, as you can see, now we don't have that brown box below that. So this is very helpful tool from Chrome. It is now actually available in all browsers. You can use it to actually inspect over the elements, like how they are using the margins and padding. Like in our navbar, we are using this padding of top and bottom padding of 30 pixels, so it is actually showing as green. So padding shows as green and margin shows as brown. So now let's just start adding some boldness to our this brand name. Okay, it's brand name. Let me just fix that. And now we can actually select our brand name by left li selector. If I say dot left li, and I want to increase the font weight, let's say 600. Now if I go back and refresh, it should get us some bold text. Okay, yeah, it's there. And one more thing, I show you, like I whenever I add a property, I show it to you guys, so that you can see that what property is doing what, so that you don't get confused. Okay, now let me just increase the font size. It will do nothing but just increase the font size. So 30 pixels sounds okay. Brand name, it's, let's just make it 25. Good. Now we can add some effect to our this chin. So for this, just go to HR selector, and I want some border radius to it, 10 pixels, and I want some hover effect. So whenever I hover over it, so I wanted the width to get increase. I want the width to be, let's say, 60 pixels, and I want some transition duration. I have talked about these properties in my last video, so you can go and watch. So whenever I now hover over this, you can see it's actually expanding. And one more thing, I want to change the color. I want this black color to appear whenever I hover over it. So yeah. Okay, it's not working. Okay, I forgot the semicolon. Okay, let's just go 70 pixel width. Cool. Okay, now color is okay. I should go for border color, not the color, because it doesn't it's color only support for text, and HR uses this border to actually. Now if I go and refresh, you can see this effect actually looks cool now. So let's just add some border radius to our button. To do this, we can add some border radius, let's say 30 pixels. Okay, again, okay, not border color, come on, radius. Yeah, it's completely fine. And now I want to reduce the width of this paragraph. It's actually very wide, it shouldn't be like that. So let's just go to our p tag and set the width of it, let's say 700 pixels. Okay, the text is too much actually. Let me just reduce some text from here. Okay, now it's fine. Now let's just add some background color to our nav bar. Now if I go to add background color to our nav bar, let's see what happens. If I add, let's say, some kind of gray color, as you can see, it's up. The text is not at center. This text, so this is due to the float property. This float property actually works very weirdly. I don't never consider using this float for working on some complex layouts. We'll use flex. I will show you like what flex and float. Like if I remove this padding from this nav bar, you'll see no background color in the nav bar. As you can see, the it's working very weirdly. I mean, there is no nav bar and these tags are there. I mean, there is content in the nav tag, but the nav doesn't have any height. So this is why I don't consider using float. So as you can, so now we can do this by adding a height property. Let me just make it 20 pixel and it will work for now. Okay, so let's just change the background color to 222 and make the link color to white. Perfectly fine. Okay, now let's go and add some background color, background image to our project. So I have this sample.jpg in my project folder, so make sure you have one. Now if I add this, you can see this is actually repeating itself after this, so I don't want this repeat, so we can turn it off by background repeat property to set it to no repeat. Now if I go back and see, you can see this now I want this image to fill this space, so we can do this by background size, and let's say, okay, here it is, cover. Now when I say cover, it actually fills up the whole space, as you can see. Now let me just introduce you to the CSS flex. It's very good property in achieving good layouts in CSS. Actually, we don't consider using this float property. It actually works very weirdly, as I showed you. Now before actually using it in our project, let me just give you a quick example. I have this folder called index. I have this file index.html. Let me just open it with Sublime, and we can open it in browser also. So let's just add some HTML template and flex test, and I'll have this one parent element with the class of parent and two child elements inside this div dot child1 tab, and it will create the snippet for us. Div dot child2 and tab, it will create the another. Okay, child. Okay, now let's have a style tag, and let's add a parent, and let's give the parent a background color of red, and child1 will have the background color of yellow, and the child2 will have the background color of green. Okay, green. Now if I open this and refresh, you will see nothing because we don't have any content. So let's just add some paragraph. Now we'll see our divs. So as you can see, we have this. Now we can add some padding to our both the child so that the box becomes visible enough. Padding 30 pixels. Now if I save and go back, you can see we have the 30 pixel padding around the both of the divs. Now if you see, this is the normal case where the both are the divs are inside this parent div. You don't see this red color of the parent because both the divs are covering it. If I add some content after these child, you will see this red color. So it's there, but it's behind. It's inside this inside those. So actually this is like if I just add this property called display flex. So let's see what happens. As you can see, this is the first child comes at the left and the second child comes at the right. So it is actually giving this both divs equal space to live. So now if I reduce some content from this first div, let's see what happens. As you can see, this right, the content of the right is lesser than the left, so it is having this less space allocated. So this is how flex works. It actually it actually makes the all the absolute childs of the parent element to go one after another. Like I have added this flex property inside the parent element, so the child of this parent is now aligned into the row. This is actually very useful property in achieving good layouts. So now if I want this to be in equally space, and I want this like less content over here and more content, so we can do it by manually. We can say flex 1 to the child 1, and we can do flex 1 to the child 2. So now it is having this equal space. So yeah, so if these two properties will not work unless the parent doesn't have this, as you can see, that's not working. So parent element should have this flex property, display flex. So if display flex does the it just makes the child element to go one after another in the scenario. So if I have one more child, let's say, so now if I save and go back, as you can see, I have this one more. So if I go and change the color of it and make it, you can see, and now this, we don't have this flex one in our, so that's why we should add it. Okay, something, okay, we forgot a semicolon. No, perfect. So yeah, so this is how flex works. So let's just use this flex in our nav bar. So let me just close it, and let me just get rid of this float left and right. We don't need this. Now if I save and refresh, this is how it looks now. So this is how it should look. Now we can get rid of this this height attribute for height property of nav. Uh, so yeah, so now it's perfectly fine. You can see this 30 pixel padding, 30 pixel top and bottom is perfectly working fine. So float actually plays with doesn't care about the parent elements at properties. So this is why I don't consider using float. So now if I say display flex in our nav, so the child of our nav, which is left and right, will go in the row position. So now if I save, and as you can see, they are coming in the row. So yeah, so but I want this left links to be at the very end. So we can do this by one more property. If I say justify content space between, so what this does is actually push the both of the childs at the very end of the uh, parent element. You can see now it's just fine. And now we can see this, there is a kind of mismatch between these, and we can go inspect and see what's wrong. Now you can see if I hover over this nav, and you can see this green surroundings around the nav, it is actually showing the padding. Now if we look at the blue content area, the flex is working fine. Now the only thing we have to do is in our CSS, if I go back and say align items center, now what it does, it actually makes the content of the child element, which is these three links of this child, they also become at the center. Now if I refresh, you can see this is actually perfectly working fine. So yeah, so this is pretty much for this video, guys. I'll talk about flex and grid and more CSS advanced topic in coming videos. So stay tuned for those videos and subscribe the channel and share this video with your friends. And that's me signing off for today.